Hey everybody, I thought I'd do a quick video, see how quick it is, but I thought I'd do a video showing how my new Stinger riveting system works. This is a new version. It's actually the third generation of my Stinger riveting system. I have some videos out on the previous version. It pretty much works the same way, but I thought I would just do a new video with better cinematography, I guess. So the new system, like I said, works pretty much the same as the old system. If you have the old system, it's pretty much the same thing. It doesn't do anything fancier. It's just that I had to come up with new materials and redesign it because the cost of materials got very expensive on the old one I made. So I just made a new one using aluminum and some other parts. But I thought like I said, I thought I'd make this new video showing you exactly how it works and the reason why I actually invented this system to do rivets. So I do a lot of cuffs using titanium and other materials. Generally, it's titanium with Argentium sterling silver. Unfortunately, with titanium, you cannot solder to titanium. So all my mixed metals that I add to the titanium has to be cold connected. So I was doing rivets. I was adding silver to titanium using traditional riveting techniques, using a basic riveting hammer. And when I make my pieces, I always pre-bend the titanium, I pre-bend the silver. Everything's already bent and shaped, and then I stick them together, and then I add the rivets. The reason why I do that is if I were to have a flat sheet of titanium and a flat sheet of silver, if I were to rivet everything and then shape it and bend it, the movement, the curving of the titanium and the silver would actually shear off the silver rivets. So I have to bend everything, pre-bend everything, put everything together, and then rivet it. But the problem with that is I found very quickly that when I was shaping the pieces, they're curved. It's a cuff. When I was trying to rivet the inside of the cuff using a riveting hammer, it was very difficult to get a swing and a strike on the inside because of the way the cuff shaped. So it was difficult to get the hammer in there. I was able to do it sometimes, but it didn't make a very clean rivet head. It was very sharp and bumpy, and I'd miss and blah blah blah. And it was a pain. It was a real pain. So I came up with this system so that I can stick the cuff onto the fixture. I can use my punch that I developed, and I can punch. And what it does is it makes a very clean, very smooth, domed head on both sides, inside and out at the same time. It takes about 5 to 6 punches with this center punch, automatic center punch that I developed. And what happens is what you end up with is a very clean, smooth, and low profile rivet head on the inside. Now, this can be used with flat objects like pendants, things like that. I haven't really found a use for it with rings, but pendants, cuffs, like I said, you can do flat objects, but mainly it was developed to use with curved cuff bracelets. And I have a bunch of examples here of what I do. So I'll just go over to the system now, and I'll show you exactly how it works and what its benefits are. So this is the basic version, the new version of the Stinger riveting system. I call it third generation. What it is let's lock this down. What it consists of is a center punch, automatic center punch with the ball added to it, a tip. This is the right height riveting clip, and this is the actual system right here. So this is aluminum, steel, titanium. This is the actual head that you use to place the rivet head on, and this is the other side of it that actually does the punching. All right. Next, I'd like to talk about how you can mount the Stinger riveting system. I personally mount mine to my bench. I don't mind having holes in my bench. I got all kinds of holes in my bench from screwing all kinds of things into it. I don't mind that. But I know some of you do not want to do that. So the other preferred option is to actually mount it to a block of wood, screw it to a block of wood, and then C-clamp that block of wood to your bench or somewhere else in your studio. And that also gives you the option to make it portable, so you can move it around your studio. You can even take it on the road with you if you're taking workshops or something like that. That's the preferred method. So I have a block of hardwood here that I just screwed it to. If you're going to screw this to your bench or a block of wood, you always want to pre-drill. So make sure you pre-drill. I used I think it was a 7/64 drill bit. Let's take a look. Yeah, I used a 7/64 drill bit. You don't have to use a 7/64, just get something close to that. What I do is I take the drill bit and I hold it up to the screw. If the drill bit covers the shank of the screw but not the threads, it's smaller than the threads but the same size as the shank, that's generally what I use. You may want to go a tiny bit bigger if you're screwed into like oak, a really hardwood. The main thing is you don't want to snap the head off these screws. These are truss screws. I haven't snapped any heads off any of them yet, but I have snapped heads off other screws in the past when I'm screwing in things, and it's almost always, without a doubt, when I forget to pre-drill. So pre-drill. So then pre-drill, stick it on a block of wood, and then C-clamp it wherever you want it. All right. The next option is, which I'm sure a lot of you may do also, is you can take the Stinger Riveting System and just clamp it in a vise. You may want to take a piece of leather, wrap the Stinger Riveting System in leather, and then clamp it into a vise. This vise here that I'm using is actually a Harbor Freight vise. It's very nice because it actually rotates in multiple directions. But if you clamp it in a vise, you always want to make sure that it's clamped in there very securely, very securely. Because the thing with vices is that it's clamping from the side force like this, but you're going to be putting downward pressure on this when you actually go to rivet it. So if it's not really tight, your downward force could make this thing pop out of the vise or just shift down the vise. So make sure it's clamped very securely. Make sure your vise is clamped to the bench very securely. You don't want this thing shifting on you, especially if you're using your body weight to make the center punch snap. You don't want to be pushing out your body weight and then something gives somewhere, either the Stinger Riveting System in the vise or the vise off the bench. Because what could happen is you could slip and your downward force could make you fall forward. You don't want that to happen. All right. The other option I have here is it's another vise that I have. Some of you may have something like this, you may not, but it's a vise that I got for some forming stakes. I've since gotten rid of those forming stakes, but I kept the vise. This vise is nice because its clamping force action is from top to bottom, downward. So if you're clamping in this type of vise, it's really nice because your downward force is not going to slip at all. I'm sure most of you don't have this type of vise, but I highly recommend it. I love this vise. I use it I clamp ring mandrels in it. I clamp bracelet mandrels in it. I clamp all kinds of stuff in it. Anything that I'm pushing down and adding downward force, hammering on, this type of vise is fantastic. And I believe I got this one from, I want to say Micro Tools or tools.com. It was used for clamping stakes, sinusoidal stakes, forming stakes. All right. So any way you clamp it, you want to make sure everything is secure, everything is clamped tightly, everything is snug, and and don't snap off your screw heads. Make sure you pre-drill. All right. Cool. All right. So what I'm going to demo with is this sheet of brass. I've already got one rivet in it. I drilled another hole, and I'm going to show you how I actually do this. This is just a demo piece. It's what I use to test out all of the systems when I make them. So I have a rivet already made. This is using 16 gauge silver wire. I put a tiny little head on it using my pulse arc welder, that guy over there, the Orion. And I just I take a piece of silver wire, 16 gauge, and I shoot a little pulse on the end of it. And what it does is it makes a tiny little ball head on it, very small. Again, I'm using 16 gauge wire. The ball, I would say, is probably maybe 15 gauge when I'm done. It's just very slightly bigger than the actual wire itself. All right, so then what I do is I take this guy here. I've drilled the hole in it already. I stick the rivet into the hole. There it is. And then I put the ball head is on the bottom. I put that onto the riveting system. Then what I do is I grab my right height rivet clip. I snap it on and let go of it. And then I grab my pair of flush cutters. I push down on the right height clip to make sure it's all the way down, and I lay my flush cutters on top of the right height wire clip and cut off. And what that does is that gives me the exact height of the rivet. So look at that, I just cut it off to the exact height. I think it's 1.3 millimeters. So I'll put it back on there, pull the clip off, set it aside, grab the punch, stick it on top of the rivet. Just give it a little test first. Actually, I always give my punches a couple little pumps before I use it. Stick it on there and snap it 1, 2, 3. Take a little look at it. Feel it, maybe a couple more pumps. And there we go. Perfect size little head. So if you can see the dome, little half domes, that's the underside, and that's the top side. Let's do another one. All right, so I drilled a couple more holes in it. The drill bit size that I use, it's a 1.3 millimeter drill bit, and you want that hole to be exactly the same size as the rivet. That 16 gauge wire is 1.3 millimeters. I use a twist drill bit. I'm trying out some new ones that I got, but generally I use the Bush ones, the Bush twist tungsten vanadium drill bits I get from Rio Grande. I'm trying out some other ones because they're the tungsten ones are a little expensive. But let's give it a go and see let's give it another shot. So grab another rivet, insert the rivet. Ball head is down here. Ball head's right there. Push it through. Put the head onto the fixture. Grab the right height rivet clip. Snap it on. Let go. Grab your flush cutters. Push it down on top of the right height rivet clip. Make sure it's laying all the way flat to the sheet. And snip it off. Pull off the clip. Grab your punch. Give it a little test. Stick it on the head. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Give it one more. 7. There we go. Perfect little half dome. Perfect little half dome. Now, if you give it too many punches, if you go like I did a little bit too much on this first one here. If you punch it too many times, what's going to happen is, and I'll show you, you're going to leave a ring around your rivet. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a tiny little ring around there. And what that is, it's the ring of this rivet head. So what's happening is, if you give it too many pumps, you actually compress the rivet head too much, and it gets too flat, and then it allows the head of this to actually make contact with your sheet. So you want to go slow until you get the hang of it. Generally with these new ones, I'd say stop at 5. It usually takes around 6 or 7 snaps to get it perfect. Perfect little head though. These are the underneath here. Or is that the top? Let's see. Let's turn it over and see what the top looks like. Yeah, that's the underneath, and that's the top underneath here. All right, next what I have here is a cuff that I've been practicing on, just testing out rivets. So this is just an old cuff that I was kind of working on. I wasn't happy with it, so I just used it as a test rivet. So there's already a bunch of rivets on it that I've tested out, other ones that I've made and sold. So there's the insides of the rivets, already all smooth, half domed. So I'll give you a little shot of how I do this. So grab a rivet. I'm holding it by the ball, the head of the rivet. My fingers are holding the ball. I will find the hole that I already drilled. Stick the rivet in. Sticking up. Stick it on the fixture. grab my right height clip, snap it on, grab my flush cutters, push it down, cut it off, grab the clip, take it off, grab my center punch, give it a couple snaps, stick it on the head, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Beautiful. It's that one right there. So something I want you to be aware of and keep in mind is that when you go to punch this rivet, you always want the rivet straight up and down. You don't ever want it at an angle when you're punching it, because what could happen is if you're punching at an angle, you could actually bend it over. So let me show you real quick. Put the clip on, put your flush cutters on top, cut the rivet, take the clip off. You don't want to be cockeyed. You don't want to be at an angle. You always want it straight up and down, because what happens is if you had an angle and you go to pump it, you could actually bend that rivet head over. It's very important that it's always straight, and it's very important that it's always the right height. You don't want it too tall. A too tall rivet will actually bend over easily also. So let's give it a little close-up shot. Straight up and down. Snap, 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 snap. Give it a couple more. There we go. Look at that. You know, it's just so difficult with a riveting hammer to get inside to get these. And these are the ones. These are the main things that I'm worried about. This is why I invented this. I love these perfectly smooth, round, half dome heads. Look at those guys. No cleanup. I don't have to get in there and clean it up with any type of file or anything. It's smooth to the touch. And that's the other benefit of it too, is because most of my work, my titanium is colored. I've anodized this. I don't want to have to get in there if I had a sharp rivet from a hammer and get in there and file it, buff it, clean it out, because what's going to happen is I'm probably going to buff the color off around the rivet. You know, it's just I want to keep this all clean. I want to keep the colors pristine and perfect, so I don't have to do any cleanup on these. These are perfectly smooth, perfectly round. They're not going to scratch you. Look at that. So here's a quick look at a couple of my cuffs that I have handy that shows the rivet work. So again, titanium, argentium silver. There are the rivets. There they are on the inside. Rivets are there. Inside of the rivets. Rivets there, 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 and there. If you look, there they are on the inside. So I really couldn't do what I do using titanium and silver. Like I said, you can't solder silver to titanium. Titanium it won't solder, it won't stick. So I have to rivet. I have to do cold connection to achieve this look. I'm telling you, once you get the hang of using the Stinger riveting system, and you figure out its little quirks, and you're not going to get it right away. It's not going to be, you know, this one time go, give it a shot, and you're going to master it. It takes a little bit of practice. The punches sometimes are a little finicky. They don't snap all the time on the first one. That's why I always give it a couple snaps first on a piece of wood or a piece of aluminum to see if it's actually going to snap. Like I said, it'll snap a couple times here and there, and then it'll miss a snap. So don't get frustrated with that. So that's a quick look at how I use a Stinger, why I developed it, how you use it, and what its benefits are. Again, there are little quirks that you may have to work out as you use it. You're not going to pick it up and master it the first time you use it. You're just not. It's a new thing. It takes a little bit of practice just to get it, you know, to work perfectly every time. It's the main thing is make sure that your punch is straight up and down when you push it. Make sure that your rivet is the right height when you cut it down. It's roughly 1.3 millimeters high. That's the thickness of the niobium wire for the right height clip. A nice pair of flush cutters. Make sure that your flush cutters, when you go to cut it, you're flush side down, bevel side up. Make sure that you don't punch it too many times, because again, if you punch it too many times, you could actually put a little ring around it. And like I said, these automatic center punches, they're not like a high precision tool. They don't always work the way they should every single punch. So that's why I always have a piece of wood or aluminum sitting next to my bench, and I always give it a little snap before I actually punch it on the actual rivet. Sometimes it'll miss its snap. It doesn't punch right away. Again, straight up and down. Use the ball to your advantage. You're going to hold it like this. You'll have your hand. The ball goes in the palm of your hand. You grip it and you push down. If that's too hard for you to push, use your body weight. Stand up and kind of push down on it. Give it a little. All right. Make sure everything's screwed on tight. There's two sections that unscrew on this thing. You got this portion here on the top, and this portion back here will unscrew. Make sure they're always screwed on tight. They get loose sometimes. But that's about it. If you have any questions about the system, feel free to reach out to me. If these things stop punching like altogether, which they do, I've got a whole pile of ones that just went bad, or they were bad when I bought them. But they wear out over time. Give me a holler, give me a shout out, and I'll be glad to send you a new one for free. These are I got lifetime warranties on these things. So if they go bad on them, if the punch goes bad, give me a call. Don't panic. They do go bad. So just give me a shout out, give me a holler, give me a call, give me a text, DM me, whatever, and I'll send you a new one. Not a big deal. All right. Again, I also make the rivets myself. I plan on selling them. You can make the rivet heads yourself if you have some sort of pulse arc welder. There's a new welder I'm going to test out pretty soon. And I'm going to see if that's strong enough to make the heads. It's a lot. That welder is a lot more affordable to use. But I will sell the rivets from time to time when I find time to make them. I'll sell packs of like 25 or 50. I forget what they are. But you can make them with the Smith little torch. Any torch that you can get a really tight little hot flame. Smith torch is fantastic for that. I use an oxypropane. I think with number 3 tip, number 5 tip, any of those 3, 4, 5, those will work. You just want to get the flame really hot, really tight. Grab the 16 gauge silver wire with a pair of tweezers and just zap the tip of it till it melts a tiny little ball. You don't want a big ball. Too big of a ball will not actually fit into the dimples of the Stinger Riveting System. You want a very small little head. Small as you can get it, just slightly bigger than the 16 gauge. So, but it can be done. All right, so that's pretty much the gist of how the system works, why I made it, its benefits, and hopefully you guys learn to love this thing as much as I do. Like I said, I couldn't do the things that I do with titanium and argentium without this. It's been a game changer for me. I've done thousands and thousands of rivet heads with these. And I have messed up on occasion where, I've bent over a rivet head. When I do that, I just cut it off with my flush cutters and grab something pointy and poke it through, dig it out with a pair of flat nose pliers. From time to time, I do that. And probably not so much now with the right height clip, because I was eyeballing the height before. So if I got them too tall, the rivets, when I cut it off, again, it would bend over easy. But the right height clip now, it's pretty much going to give you the right height cut every single time. But I think I've gone over everything, and hopefully I've answered all your questions. So hope you enjoy. Give me if they're sold out, please be patient. I make all these by hand myself. Please message me. I'll make them from time to time, and I'll put out small batches. But please be patient with me. Again, I make this all by myself, so they're not exactly what I want to do with my life, making tools all day long. I prefer making jewelry. I enjoy inventing the tools and getting them out to people. But to sit here in my studio all day, every day, grinding, filing, polishing, making parts, making these things. It's just not what I want to do with my life. So please be patient with me, and just keep an eye out for them. The best thing to do is to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I always post when I get a new batch out. So just yeah, follow me, and hopefully you can snatch one of these up if you don't already have one. Thanks. Have a good day.